Welcome, everyone. Thanks so much for being here today. I'm Emily Sumner, and I'll be your host for the next hour. Today's webinar is brought to you by EdWeb and ParentPowered. ParentPowered is the creator of an accessible, evidence-based family engagement curriculum for birth through 8th grade that supports, inspires, and activates parents and caregivers with simple, strengths-based insights they can turn into everyday teachable moments. So I am pleased to welcome today's presenters, Rebecca Honig and Francois Lartigue, both with ParentPowered. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Emily. And everyone, welcome, welcome. We're so happy to spend this next bit of time with you. And we're hoping it's going to be a fun and informative webinar all about picking and vetting summer blockbuster skills that families will be excited to build and support over the summer. I'm Rebecca Honig, and I'm the Chief Content and Curriculum Officer at ParentPowered. We're the makers of Ready for K. I also have over a decade of experience writing and producing and consulting for many blockbuster children's hits like Sesame Street, The Electric Company, Odd Squad, Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, and many others. So I've had fun applying that lens to this blockbuster skill webinar. I've also taught in schools across the country and have a master's in early childhood from Bank Street. And I have 3 kids who are way cooler than me and keep me up on all the blockbuster hits related to media and also fashion and hot topics. I'm joined by my colleague and co-conspirator, Fran.
Hi, I'm Fran. Thank you, Rebecca. I'm a senior content and curriculum specialist here at ParentPowered. I am part of Rebecca's team that gets to create the curriculums and write messaging. I joined ParentPower with about a decade of experience in the field of education. I started out first as a kindergarten teacher in the South Bronx and then did lots of teaching in different classrooms and did some STEM and STEAM curriculum work for elementary classrooms as well. I also have a master's in early childhood education from Bank Street. And really, one of my favorite parts of my job here at ParentPowered is coming up with fun and easy ways to support families in building all those key academic and social emotional skills that we want them to have. I'm super excited to be able to share some of those with you today. I am also a parent to 1 high schooler and 2 middle school age children who really keep me in the loop of all things cool, like current movie blockbuster hits. And quite frankly, they keep me in check in general. So without further ado, back to you, Rebecca. Let's get this started.
Okay. So ultimately, this is going to come back around to those blockbuster summer skills that families can build at home. But we want to start by talking about movies and summer. So you have likely noticed that summer is when the movie industry puts out some of its biggest movies, right? Big action adventures, franchise films like those Marvel movies. But this actually wasn't always the case. So prior to the 1970s, the big movies premiered in the winter, right? It was cold out. It was just the time to go inside and see a movie. The industry kind of assumed, like, who would want to see a movie during the summer with all that beautiful weather outside? Don't bother with summer. But then came Jaws, and Jaws premiered in the summer, and people lined up around the block to see it, and it grossed over $100 million, and this had never happened before. And the movie industry took notice. You know, they were like, wait, maybe summer is the time to premiere big blockbuster movies if, and only if, the topic is just right. Given that kids are out of school, it means that the whole family is going to come along. Parents, kids, all watching together. Summer could actually be just the right time for huge blockbuster films. Star Wars, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Batman, E.T., they all premiered over the summer. And we believe that summer can be just the time for blockbuster learning skills too. These are skills that are really going to excite and engage the whole family. Skills the family is hungry for, and skills that will have an amazing impact on your classrooms and school community at the start of the next school year. So that's what we're going to talk about today, summer blockbuster skills, and we're going to have some fun with it. Hopefully you will too. So we're going to look at which skills you may want families practicing to make back to school a breeze, how to inspire families into action around these skills in summer learning, and how can you set it all up in advance so you can spend the summer recharging your own batteries and maybe seeing some of those blockbuster movies.
So, why are we at Parent Powered well positioned to speak with knowledge on this topic? Well, we have reached over 900,000 families with children's ages birth through 8th grade all year long with skills and activities to support their child learning and development. And 90% of families report doing a parent powered activity at least once a week with their children. So we are really well versed in choosing skills that families want to support and giving them highly doable ways to support those skills. So here's what the experience is like for parents. So every Monday, we send parents and caregivers a fact message orienting them around a specific skill and why it's important to their child's development. The skills are different at each age and mapped onto state standards. High-level information on academics and child development is distilled down into about 160 characters and written at a 3rd grade reading level. Right, given how overwhelmed parents are and all they have on their plates, this allows them to glance down at their phone and discover a skill that will help their child thrive. And then every Wednesday, we send a tip message that gives a fun activity to grow the skill of the week. The activities always build on existing daily routines like counting your steps on the way to the bus. And this is critical. We don't want to give families one more thing to do. Instead, we leverage what they are already doing. And to ensure access, we never require additional materials either, just the people, places, things that already exist in a family's life. We also work with experts to review and version messaging for cultural appropriateness and to ensure that we're suggesting activities that really resonate with all different lived experiences. And this is the cornerstone of our strength-based approach. We want parents reading these tips and thinking, oh, that's easy. I can do that. And then finally, on Friday, we send a growth message, right? It really offers a dose of encouragement and gives families one more way to grow that skill of the week and take it just a little bit farther. This careful scaffolding allows families to build new skills on top of known skills, which really helps to set everyone up for success. And we've chosen skills based on extensive research. Part of this research includes thousands and thousands of testimonials from our quarterly surveys telling us exactly what skills parents like focusing on. And not only that, but for nearly 2 years, we hosted live virtual family workshops with thousands of families across the country and ended each one with a question and answer session. During those sessions, parents shared again and again their biggest pain points, those areas where they wanted the most support. So we are using all of these insights to get you excited about some blockbuster summer skills. These are skills families are going to want to support at home and skills that are going to have a real impact on your classroom come the start of the next school year. So, as one more data point, here's a question for you. When you talk to families, what are they most eager to have support with when it comes to their child's learning and development or their own parenting? Go ahead and tell us in the chat. We're so excited to find out what you're hearing from families.
Feel free to type it right in. And I can tell you that in our sessions with families, we hear a lot about wanting transition-related supports related to self-regulation. Fascinatingly, when we host literacy workshops, we less than getting questions about reading strategies, we get questions like, how do I get my child to sit through a book? Okay, I see a lot on dealing with big emotions.
They are lining up with the things that we have also heard.
Communication, retaining information, reading strategies, these are great. Transitions, behaviors, SEL, encouraging children to talk, big emotions, mental health. Well, I'm very excited to dive in to our Blockbuster skills because you're hitting on so many of the ones that we also find in our work to be hugely impactful, both in terms of uh, at home learning, but also the impact that schools and communities see at the end of the school year after students have been practicing these skills all summer long. All right, let's go to our first Blockbuster skill. And sidebar, we are going to present each new Blockbuster skill as a movie trailer. So just sit back and imagine you're in a dark theater and up on the screen pops this first Blockbuster skill. All right, you ready? I'm going to use my best movie voice. This summer, gather round for the feel-good skill of the season, positive sense of self. This critical skill sets children up with confidence. It helps them make choices, form friendships, and speak up. Imagine children back in the classroom after a summer of feeling good about who they are, more likely to join in discussions and participate in learning groups, advocating for their needs, more able to see all the ways that what you are teaching maps onto their passions and interests. Positive sense of self coming to households and classrooms near you. All right. In all seriousness, though, as all of you know, a positive sense of self really does need to be built and practiced. And summer really is an amazing time to do this because a positive sense of self comes from kids learning more about who they are. It comes from them making some of their own choices. It comes from them taking healthy risks and trying new things. And we know that summer is a time when children are often taking on new routines. They're often experiencing a bit more autonomy and perhaps spending a bit more time at home where they're most connected to things like their culture, home language, family traditions. So we can give families easy things to help kids build a positive sense of self without asking them to take on all this new stuff, right? It's going to layer right on top of what they're already doing. And this is something we always look for in summer Blockbuster skills. We ask ourselves, what is something that a family is really well positioned to take on at home over the summer? Asking yourself this question is going to lead you to skills that really leverage a family's strengths. And of course, when you leverage a family's strengths, it becomes a lot easier for them to do the thing that you're asking them to do. So, what is the ticket to this Blockbuster skill, positive sense of self? And when I say that, I'm really asking, like, what is a family's point of entry over the summer? Well, to start, they can do summer activities that involve listening. Research tells us that respectful, accepting, and concerned treatment from parents and caregivers lays the foundation for kids' ability to feel good about themselves and also accept the guidance of others. So just listening as kids talk is a perfect way to communicate as a parent that you respect your child, that you're concerned about their thoughts and feelings, and you're curious about their ideas. So if we can encourage parents and caregivers to listen over the summer, it is a huge win for positive sense of self. So how can you encourage families to practice and build this skill over the summer? Well, one idea is you might send a conversation calendar home with families at the end of the school year. On each day or at the start of every week, just pop in an open-ended question that families can ask. For example, if you got to invent a school, what would it be like? What would kids learn about there? Or what's one thing you really want people to know about you? Or what are 3 things you do on the best day ever? You might even have students design this calendar before summer so that they're contributing to the questions that go on it and go home with families. We've also created 2 listening resources that will pop in the chat right now and we'll also make available after this webinar. But the first is focused on active listening, which we know is critical, especially as children grow and move into adolescence, really orienting parents and caregivers around how to be active listeners, how to remain curious and non-judgmental so children are encouraged to keep sharing, and how to really signal to the speaker that, yes, I am cued into what you are saying and I hear you. So we've got a great resource that you can just send home to families before the start of summer. All right, another critical component of building a positive sense of self is sharing and parental caregiver sharing. It is key to build that sense of who you are, right? Because when parents and caregivers share about culture, traditions, family stories, etc., kids build a stronger sense of who they are, and this sets them up with confidence over the school year. So you can suggest some summer evening rituals like listening to a song that represents your family or culture, or looking at family photos as you talk about relatives and traditions. You might consider sending students home for the summer with a set of index cards and a set of questions to go with it. And you can suggest that families discuss and answer these questions at mealtime. So, for example, what language or languages do you speak at home? What are some songs you like to listen to at your house? What countries are your relatives from? Then, at the start of the school year, kids can bring these cards in and you can sort them, showing all the ways that students are both similar and unique, and really begin forming that community around students' identity right from the start of the school year. Positive sense also comes from a history of success, and that history helps provide kids with a sense of reality on which to base their self esteem. Basically, it's like proof, right, that you can do things. But it doesn't come from easy success, actually. Research tells us that it comes from learning that you can do hard things. It comes from having an aspiration that is personally significant. Like, for example, I want to get better at soccer because I love soccer, and then working towards that thing and experiencing some sort of growth related to it. It comes from having an idea that's uniquely yours and then playing it out and making it happen. In school, we all know this can be very challenging to pull off. We're all having to adhere to schedules and set standards. So when kids have those ideas or those sparks or find a way to do something that is uniquely their own, they don't always get the chance to see it through within the school day or even the school year. As a matter of fact, in school, many children can have the opposite of experience, right? Of learning that when they do it their way, it doesn't quite work out, or feeling like their passions and interests don't quite map onto the school day. So, summer really can be an amazing time for children to explore their passions and interests and chart their own course for learning more about something or getting better at something. So, you might suggest setting 1 or 2 summer goals. And to get the ball rolling, parents or you yourself can ask students, what's one thing you want to get better at this summer? What's a new thing you want to learn to do or try? And then, most importantly, actually, what is my plan for getting it done? And really helping kids break that goal into manageable bite sized pieces. They can adjust their plan throughout the summer so that they come back to the school year having really met a personal goal. Consider definitely staying involved if possible. So, you definitely want to let parents know about what kids have planned, and maybe check in about how it's going with a couple of emails over the summer, or maybe you can create a classroom blog post or a way for students to share how their summer goal is going, offer encouragement, advice, suggestions. At the older age, they can be sort of mentors to one another as they're reaching their summer goals.
And this next blockbuster skill will help support those summer goals really, really well. And it's time management. The clock is ticking. Time is of the essence. Will the curriculum get covered? Did Sarah do all of her homework? Why can't anyone get to school on time? Will John be able to write his assignment and turn it in before lunch? From Executive Function Skills Incorporated in association with Get It Done Studio comes a blockbuster skill for the summer: time management. I mean, imagine a world in which families work on building time management over the summer, right? Jimmy doesn't miss the bus. Kids arrive at school before the bell, ready to learn every single day. Pauline is no longer the queen of procrastination. Ron's reading logs filled out. So time management is a true blockbuster skill. When kids practice and get better at time management, they're developing those foundational self-discipline skills that will carry them through their entire lives. Kids feel less stressed, improve their academic performance, they feel a sense of confidence and achievement, and they have an easier time setting goals and getting things done too. So, while summer schedules differ for families based on their situation, one consistency is all families no longer have the rhythms of a school schedule to set the beat of their days to. This shift actually makes summer a super time to build time management skills. The less structured days of summer offer families lots of opportunities to practice this skill in really fun and doable ways. And caregivers and parents are perfectly positioned to support building time management because it's already part of their daily lives. Even better, as kids build their time management skills, parents and caregivers reap the benefits too. Less asking and nagging kids to get tasks done. So, what can families do to spark time management from so-so to soar? Well, first, they can try to make it a game. Time challenges are a fantastic way to do this. Parents and caregivers simply use timers to challenge kids to complete tasks in a certain amount of time. Right? Make your bed, 10-minute timer. Get on your shoes and socks, 5-minute timer. The benefit to this is some competitive fun, and kids start to understand what segments of time actually feel like. They'll quickly learn that 10 minutes is not enough time to read and play and then make their bed. They'll also develop the knowledge that different tasks take different amounts of time. This means they'll get better at creating realistic plans for getting things done. And if setting a timer feels too cumbersome, time checks work too. So this is great for helping families leave the house on time, which still needs to happen in the summer. The parent or caregiver calls out 10 minutes and the child simply responds, "Thank you, 10. It continues down to 5 minutes. Thank you, 5. 2 minutes. Thank you, 2. You get the picture. Again, this supports kids in understanding blocks of time. So this skill also grows even stronger when parents ask questions like, was that too little, too much, or just the right amount of time? Or how much time do you think you need to complete the task? How come? Questions like this really start to deepen kids' awareness and understanding of time. So there's going to be a link in the chat that's going to be popped in for a really fun video that you can share with families that shows a time check in action and more. And these will be available now and after the webinar. And let's look at a few more easy ways to build time management skills. Time management and calendars go hand in hand, right? When you add exciting events to a calendar, it strengthens time management skills. These events can be added right on to the question calendar that Rebecca mentioned earlier. I mean, who doesn't love one resource with lots of uses? So you're going to want to encourage families to add everything from smaller moments of fun, like a trip to a favorite park or getting ice cream, to bigger moments like a family vacation. Kids can track the passage of time by marking off the days leading up to the fun activity. Not only do calendars help kids track time, they get right at that root of time management, which is the ability to delay gratification, right? Getting that assignment done before playing video games. Helping kids learn to wait, to develop patience by highlighting something they are looking forward to in the near future builds that ability to delay gratification. And there's a bonus. When kids can track the plans independently, parents will experience fewer instances of, when is it time to? And that is something we can all look forward to. And this last strategy is the superhero of building time management skills for kids, and that is the daily checklist. Right, this mighty checklist is a miracle of accountability for families. It builds organization and responsibility. It gives a sense of accomplishment, sparks confidence and independence. It diminishes nagging and excuses, and it makes life easier for everyone. When what kids need to do daily is clearly presented, it allows them to practice budgeting their time and completing tasks independently. each little task becomes a small goal, and with each check comes that sense of accomplishment. We like to call this the thrill of the checklist. For younger children, you can use images that represent different parts of daily routines, which is a great place to start. And for elementary age kids, working together to write or having them write out their daily tasks makes more sense. And as kids get even older and more self sufficient, encouraging them to make their own daily checklist is the next step. And for all kids, talking together about how long each task should take will help in their planning as well. And there's going to be another link coming in the chat box, but really when we say checklist, they can be made on any type of paper. So and y'all have paper at home and families will have paper, but we have a great listening resource that you can share with families to motivate them to give it a try this summer. So Rebecca, let's learn about that next Blockbuster skill.
All right. And this is one that came up in the chat as well, so I'm happy we're all aligned on its importance. Here's my movie trailer for it. In a world where everything is overwhelming and we are all totally maxed out, one skill can save the day: frustration tolerance. Will it arrive in time to save Emily from giving up on her summer reading goal? Will it swoop in to spare Diego from that full-scale tantrum? Find out this summer. All right, so why pick this skill to focus on this summer with families? Coming out of the past few years, the most common question we get from parents and caregivers during our Q&A session are related to helping kids handle big emotions like frustration. And I just want to read a couple to you. How do I get my child to calm down when they lose at a game? My child freaks out over how their clothes feel every day. What do I do? Sidebar, so does my child. My child gives up after no time. How do I help? Okay. And we get so many questions related to parents and caregivers coping with daily frustrations as well. This makes total sense, right? Brain research tells us that when we are dealing with stress, especially prolonged stress, as so many of us are, our ability to problem solve, process, think through things, and regulate our emotions is seriously diminished. So we all reach moments of frustration and overwhelm faster than we may be used to. So this is a skill that so many parents and caregivers are hungry for, and it has the potential to make things so much easier at home. The one thing I'll note is that you know your family's best. I named this super skill or blockbuster skill frustration tolerance, but you could also call it something else, like a focus on resilience or problem solving. They're going to lead you to many of the same strategies and skills that we'll talk about now. Okay, so how can families build frustration tolerance at home over the summer? Well, the first step to dealing with frustration is noticing that you are frustrated, or even better, starting to feel frustrated. And this is hard for kids and grown-ups alike. The way to really build this is to build something we like to call reflective practices. And it's basically just taking the time to reflect on what's going on what you're thinking or feeling, or what others are thinking or feeling. So you start to understand how circumstances might affect feelings, and feelings might affect behavior, right? It's that ability in parents when they see their child having a meltdown to say, I wonder what might be going on for my child right now. I wonder what they might need from me in this moment. Or what might I need in this moment in order to be able to stay calm so I can help my child become calm. All right, I'm going to show you one way we love to build these reflective practices. And it's an activity that maps right onto morning routines and builds off of things many families are already doing over the summer. So here goes, right? Kids wake up, and they, especially over the summer, right? They need to know what the weather is like so they know what to wear, and maybe so they know what activities they're going to do that day. So parents and caregivers can start by asking that question that many of you, especially in early childhood, might ask at the start of the day. What's the weather outside? Is it cloudy and warm? Is it windy and sunny? But then they can build on that question by asking, what's the weather inside? all right, inside of us, inside of you. Are you feeling, sunny with a touch of wind? Sunny because you're really excited, and windy because you're kind of nervous too. Doing this activity every morning, asking what's the weather inside, helps children and adults actually cue into what emotions feel like. So they're better able to recognize when they are starting to feel overwhelmed and frustrated. And one thing I love about this question, right? What's the weather inside? Is it encourages children to really discover the nuances of feeling, right? Because oftentimes we're not just having one type of weather. It's not just sunny, right? We are experiencing lots of emotions at once. And so when we talk about it in these terms, children are really encouraged to begin building that understanding that we can have lots of different feelings. So, in terms of frustration tolerance, there is, of course, also the issue of being able to calm down and self regulate, right? So, once you realize, oh, I'm frustrated or I'm starting to become frustrated, there need to be strategies that you can use to regulate, to return to that sense of calm and to manage those big feelings. And there are so many strategies that families can do and practice in order to help calm things like their breath and their body and their mind. For example, deep breathing, we all know, has a profound effect on calming both parents and children. We can stretch, we can picture places that make us feel calm and happy or peaceful. I'm guessing many of you have been suggesting strategies that kids use at school during moments of frustration, probably been practicing it all year long. Well, at the end of the year, consider making this tool, and we'll put it up on screen now, that kids can bring home with them over the summer and use all summer long. We call it the calming cube. And right, cube has 6 sides. You're going to put a strategy that works for a child or that a child wants to explore over the summer on each side of this cube. So maybe it's picturing a happy place. Maybe it's humming quietly to yourself, or taking a wiggle break, or doing mountain climber breaths, right? Breathing in and out as you trace your fingers. Children will write, or you will write the strategies on slips of paper, tape or glue them onto the sides of a box. Kids will bring it home over the summer. Then you're going to challenge them to shake up that calming cube and throw it down anytime they start to feel frustrated, and then do the strategy they landed on. Imagine what the start of school will be like if children have been practicing these calming and self-regulating strategies all summer long. And again, it has a huge impact on family functioning, because you're giving parents and caregivers a tool that they can use to navigate these moments with their children. All right. So finally, not finally, right? There's many things that build frustration tolerance, but another critical one, a critical step in building frustration tolerance, is doing things you know are going to be hard and frustrating, and practicing calming strategies in response to that frustration. So, talk about layering learning onto things you're already doing. Families can just have summer fun and use the strategies as hard feelings come up, and they're going to be building this skill. That is what is so powerful about this skill. It is immediately applicable throughout the day without layering anything else on. But if you did want to suggest activities that are likely to challenge kids and families and give them the chance to flex their frustration tolerance muscles, you know your family's best, but I might suggest something like puzzles. Those always make me want to have a meltdown. Or different how-to activities, or activities where a child is forced to give up control or share control. An example of this is an activity we like to play at our house called pass the picture, right? One person starts drawing, passes it to the next person, who adds on to the drawing. This can be very challenging if you have an idea of what that thing was supposed to be. You got to give it up and give it to someone else, and it keeps going round and round, and everyone has that experience of letting go and maybe doing some deep breathing or throwing that calming cube and having the opportunity to regulate as they cope with feelings that may come up during these challenging activities. All right, Fran, lead us to the next Blockbuster
We're
skills.
going to keep on digging into the world of navigating and understanding emotions with our next Blockbuster skill, and it's our final movie trailer. So, in a world where everyone's experience is unique comes the most mind-bending skill of the summer. The skill we'll need to survive and thrive in this world: perspective taking. Using a combination of empathy, understanding, reflection, and flexible thinking, this skill allows kids to unlock the mystery of what others are thinking and feeling. Motivations start to become illuminated. Once this skill is unleashed, kids have an easier time building friendships, navigating social conflicts, communicating, and getting along with others. Materials are shared, turns are taken, and meaningful conversations are had. Communities are built and strengthened. Oh, I love perspective taking. And because learning thrives when kids are part of a community in which thoughts, feelings, and experiences are understood and respected, and in order for kids to feel and be part of a learning community, they need to be able to understand what is going on around them and why. And so when kids can see outside of their own feelings and ideas, they have an easier time relating to their peers, even if they don't share the same view. So, children need lots and lots of opportunities to practice identifying and talking about their own and others' feelings, thoughts, and actions to discover that differences exist and to respect those differences. And parents and caregivers are in an ideal position to support building perspective taking because practice happens right in the moment with questions and listening. So, in keeping with perspective taking, you know your families best. We named this skill perspective taking, but you might call it something like community skills or another name that you know will hold meaning to your families. So, the first way parents and caregivers can support building this skill is by talking about experiences and emotions. Say what you see, experience, name what you feel. And I think about the person that posted in the chat about their child having a meltdown when someone scores a goal. And this is a perfect place to start when your child experiences that and has those big feelings. Simply talking about an experience and the feelings associated with it sets that foundation for building perspective taking. And when we talk about feelings with kids, we teach them that all feelings are valid, the positive ones like happiness and pride and joy, and the more challenging ones like anger, frustration, and loneliness. Talking about experiences and feelings also helps kids learn that one situation can make different people feel different things. And since the root of building perspective taking starts with talking about and noticing feelings, we have this great resource that you'll be able to give to families. It gives them easy and doable tips and tricks for getting those feelings conversations started. So this next one turns perspective taking into a little game to support learning, and it is super fun. Parents and caregivers can invite their child to become detective perspective. Kids can search high and low for clues about how someone is feeling and why they might be feeling that way. Families can encourage their detective perspective to notice what is happening as they go about their day and share all about it. So, while perspective taking can really be practiced in just about any moment, practicing this skill while reading works great too. So, for example, the well-known kids book Knuffle Bunny. If families are reading that with their child, they may ask questions like, "What just happened to Trixie? How do you think it made her feel? How about Trixie's dad?" Now, for older kids who are independent readers, parents and caregivers can check in and ask questions about what their child is reading. So as kids get older, they're really working on figuring out not only thoughts and feelings, but motives behind behaviors as well. Asking questions like, why do you think the character behaved that way? Or how did that make the character feel? How do you think you would have felt in that situation? can really get kids thinking about different perspectives. And since perspective taking is all about noticing feelings and asking questions, we have this handy dandy bookmark. It's a printable. It's filled with all kinds of feeling words to get families really thinking about how characters might be feeling as they read, and offers 3 great perspective detective questions that they can ask at the bottom. So we have shared all about 4 blockbuster skills today, and you can come up with your own too. And right now, we're going to dig into what that process looks like.
All right. Creating your own trailers. So we started with skills that are big wins for families at home based on our research. And you'll see the results in the classroom too. But as educators, you also likely want kids hanging on to some of those critical reading, writing, and math skills that you worked so hard to help them build this last year. You want kids, for example, continuing to build language school skills. So, we're going to look at how you can encourage those in fun summer ways because for many people, these skills might be seen as living in the classroom, right? Not a thing families want to go and do over the summer, not a summer blockbuster skill. So we have to ask ourselves, how can we kind of turn these on their head and make them a big hit over the summer? And really, really, it's actually all about how you present them. If you frame these skills as critical and give easy, doable points of entry to building them at home, and really show parents and caregivers that they're just the right one for the job and make them really fun, you're going to have a hit. So, for example, if you worked on times tables with the kids all year and you really want your students to keep those fast facts fresh, let families know why this is critical. You know, that it makes it so much easier to do the more complex math they're going to be doing in the upcoming school year. And then give them a fun way to practice every day. Linking it to something fun, it gives it a summer feel. It's also an opportunity to say, get families outside and enjoying time together. So, a perfect example is you might suggest that they practice their fast facts as they kick a ball back and forth. Parent gives the, 9 times 3 and kicks it to the child. Child answers, kicks it back, and there we go. Also, with that very same ball, we could be skip counting. We could be spelling out our high frequency word list that you sent them home with at the end of the school year. We could be rhyming and practicing phonemic awareness. We could be building vocabulary. Kick the ball, say the word, child kicks the ball and gives the definition. So again, a singular activity like this can be the source of so much of that learning that you want happening. These things that are more rote or that you just want kids to remember and practice are perfectly mapped onto an everyday fun game or activity like kicking a ball back and forth. And for anything that you want kids doing every day, there's really 2 ways to accomplish that. You either need to map it onto an existing routine. So a perfect example is, let's say you want your students practicing rhyming. You might suggest a family does it with uh as they make dinner, they rhyme with their actions. So they're rhyming with stir as they stir the pot, and they're rhyming with oven as they put something in the oven, right? That's something that's going to happen again and again and again. And they'll be cued into always doing it. The other thing is you can set up a new summer routine, right? What is something that the whole family can get behind and get excited about over doing again and again over the summer? A great way to achieve this is to pose it as a summer challenge. Challenges can inspire kids to remember and follow a new routine. So, setting up challenges or even some light incentives can help kids be also the driver of the routine, right? I remember my kids the first time they brought home a reading bingo challenge, which was full of different types of books that they were to read: nonfiction, fiction, a book of prose. They were so motivated to get all of those different book types checked off over the summer because it had been presented as this exciting challenge. And I believe there was a reward of having like having, I believe it was a popsicle party at the start of the school year. They all could get this done, lots of different ways to celebrate. Other things that tend to be successful, things like scavenger hunts, things related to collecting experiences or facts over the course of the summer, or a library related challenge. These can be huge motivators for kids to want to start a new summer routine, something that's unique and different and special to the summer.
So we're going to take a minute to recap. Whichever skills you choose has your blockbuster skills, those skills you want families to work on over the summer. You'll want to give it the old movie trailer test. So first, you're really going to hone in. Why is the skill important? And remember, not just to us as educators, but to families. Then you're going to want to highlight what the big benefit is for families to practice this skill, right? What will they get out of it? What will their child get out of it? How will it make their life even better? Then make sure that whatever skills or activities you choose, they are doable and fun for families, right? We want families having fun this summer. We also always want families to get that can-do feeling when we ask them to do something. So this means the activity can become integrated right into existing routines or can easily become a new one, like asking, what's the weather outside? What's the weather inside? And as you select skills and build out activities, ask yourself questions like, do my families have the materials and knowledge they need to do this activity or play this game? Is it something that will resonate across the lived experiences of all my families? And whenever possible, and this is really, really important for summer, building new skills on top of known skills is ideal. It really leverages families' strengths. And when what you're asking families to do feels doable, all of this comes together and gives families that all-important can-do feeling. So hopefully we've given you lots of inspiration as you start to plan for the skills and activities you'd like the families you support to build this summer, and to really support you in coming up with those true blockbuster skills. We've developed this worksheet, and it will be available now in the chat and after the webinar, and it walks you through the whole process, all those questions that we went into detail with today. And before we move on to questions, I just want to mention that we are currently offering our summer program at ParentPowered, which includes 12 free weeks of our curriculum to partners who sign on for the 2023-24 school year. We want to make sure it's super easy to give your family support during the months when it's most difficult to reach all families. And it's a great way to ensure that parents and caregivers are setting kids up for that back to school success this fall. We're in middle school, so we have a middle school program. And so this can include your rising ninth graders as well, if you want to give those parents a little graduating boost to prepare the kids for their entry into high school. So for more information, you can visit the bit.ly link you see here. It's bit.ly/40 uppercase X TXXM. And really, thank you so much for your time and attention today. I know it's Rebecca and my favorite part. We have time for questions.
We do have time for questions, and we've gotten some good ones. But first, thank you so much, Rebecca and Francois. This was such a fun presentation, a really great way to learn these skills and how we can help our families build them over the summer. So we are going to share all of the resources that were mentioned by Fran and Rebecca, the videos, the shareables, the worksheet. We'll be sharing those out in an email, so keep an eye on your inbox for that. And also those links were put into the chat if you want to scroll back and try to find them now, but we'll consolidate everything and send them to you in your inbox. We also just had a question, since we had just mentioned the ParentPowered offer. We did have a question about organizations that you partner with. Someone wondered if the Ready for K program was available through their public library. So I thought this might be a good opportunity to just maybe give a little background or information about how the program kind of works and is rolled out to families.
Sure. We partner with schools, we partner with districts, we partner with community based organizations. And yes, we do have partnerships with some libraries that serve sort of wider communities. And so there are lots of ways to bring Ready for K to your community. And we currently support parents and caregivers of children birth through eighth grade. And it's all year long. So over the summer, we're really focused on a lot of the skills we talked about today, actually. And in addition to that, and it's something we didn't talk about on this webinar, but especially in those older years, as we edge out of summer and near the school year, a lot of what we're orienting families around is how to partner with their child's school and how to sort of set themselves up for a year of partnership. So understanding how to access information, understanding how to navigate the school website and school calendars, and build school readiness routines in their children so that they have a sort of a smoother transition back to school, just to name a few more of the skills that we focus on during the summer months.
Great. Well, there is a link to the Parent Powered website in chat. And again, we'll be emailing out some more information about that great summer offer and also how the program works. A question did just pop in about the languages that it's available in. And Parent Powered is available in almost 10 languages. So Spanish being one of them. That was the specific question. So thanks for everybody's interest in the program. And we'll get to, if you've got other questions about it, we're happy to answer them, but we'll get to some of the content questions here now.
Great.
All right. So how many areas or skills would you pose to parents so that they don't get too overwhelmed?
Yeah, this is a really good question. And, so many of these skills are complementary. So even though you are doing multiple skills, it's not going to feel like it. So I might look at these in terms of domains and think about some skills related to, the social emotional well-being of a child. So I think choosing one or two in that domain and one or two skills that you might consider like those academic readiness or um, the skills we talked about at the end, where you want parents and children hanging on to the things. Maybe it's again fast facts or spelling words or vocabulary. Um, choosing one or two, and if you can give them a singular activity in which to play it out, then you're really allowing a parent to tackle a lot of the skills within a single moment. And they can choose different days of the week to, they're going to do fast facts one day and they're going to do spelling words another. And one thing you might consider is that calendar. You might put some little suggestions for how to play that out. I think another thing to think about too is something like goal setting. You're probably just going to have to give one or two prompts and resources around it, but a parent and child are going to be ticking away at that all summer long. So I think you could look at that as an overarching thing where I think it's absolutely something that is going to bring in a lot of those other learning strategies under the umbrella of achieving a summer goal.
That's helpful.
Fran,
yeah.
did you want to add to that? Or maybe recap what I said, because it maybe was convoluted.
Well, I think what's so interesting about some of these small moments, like what's the weather inside, what's the weather outside, is you learn it once as a parent or a caregiver, but then it becomes a routine, and routine builds habit. And that habit is about communication and checking in with your child and listening to how they're feeling and what they're thinking. And that builds a huge amount of skill that the child is going to take with them into the classroom. So the more activities that are sort of in the moment, but they give families that can-do feeling, means they're going to be practiced again and again. Because I don't know about y'all as parents, I really like feeling successful and like, I got this. And that really is what helps a child grow all summer long and feel ready for that next year of school.
That was a lot of helpful information about how to figure out how to uh, give these skills to our families. So, um, next question: how can we help families understand the importance of not just reading and maybe some math, but doing those social and emotional skills as well?
So the great thing about some of those SEL skills is parents know, right? Because they know what it feels like when they're not in place. Um, but I think painting the picture from a school-based perspective of how it's going to set their child up for success in the start of the next school year can be really strong. So for example, when your child is able to calm down, they're going to be able to keep learning even when they're frustrated. And they're going to be able to um, see a problem through and come up with lots of solutions. Also, letting parents know about things they might notice at home, like, and encouraging them to really cue into that because that's going to help make the case. So if they can report back to you, hey, what are you noticing has gotten easier, or your child's growth after practicing this skill for a while? Because for with breathing, for example, seeing a child have success with these hard moments is a testament in and of itself, is going to be one of the strongest motivators to continue on. And I think when parents have the opportunity to share those successes with you, to tell you about what they're noticing and what's working, they're even more motivated to keep it up. Fran, did you want to add anything to that?
I mean, I just 100% agree.
That's a ringing endorsement. We're getting close to our time, but we'll go ahead and take one last question. And it is, what are your thoughts about assigning summer homework, particularly to children who may not have maybe met benchmarks, who need that extra bit of support over the summer?
Fran, do you want to take that one off to start?
Well, so I think it's important for everyone to always keep learning and growing and developing. And I think if kids are already having some challenges with their schoolwork, they might not be leaving that school year. Families may not be leaving that school year feeling successful. So I think the most important thing to do is to give activities and ideas that are going to create success at home. And that builds that positive sense of self, that builds that can do feeling for the child of like, oh, I am going to be ready for my next school year. And that parent, it really helps build the parent and caregiver muscle, that they are key to their child's support and growth and development, and that they have the skills necessary to make this happen. So I mean, I don't like the term homework as a parent. It can throw us into like spirals of like, when's it due and da 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 da. But I think giving a set of activities with the idea that it's fun and for growth and development and enjoyment can really be beneficial for parent and child. Rebecca, why don't you add
Well,
on some of
just
your?
one other thing that sparked as you were talking is that summer goal, right? If a child can set a summer goal and you have some time to sit with that child and say, okay, you know, what are you going to need to learn more about and practice and find out about in order to meet that summer goal? And that's going to give a child the chance to say, oh, well, I'm going to have to practice math if I'm going to, let's say it was something related to inventing something, or I don't know, like you could really work with the student to figure out, well, what have we learned this year that's going to help you meet this goal? Is there anything you didn't quite master this year that you're going to work on over the summer to help you meet this goal? Because then there's the child is personally motivated. And anytime the parent over the summer can map that motivation onto some of this critical, you know, these readiness skills you're talking about that maybe a child, or mastery skills, if it can be folded into that goal, a child is going to be much more motivated to practice over the summer, and it's not going to feel like work, right? It's going to feel like steps a child is making to achieve something that is personally meaningful to them. So,
That they chose to do. Not,
yes.
it's not, again, back to Fran's anti-homework word there. It's not homework. It's something that they chose to do. So
Emily,
yeah,
I had a thought about the SEL related question, because we
yeah,
recently we did create a resource on how to talk to parents about the benefit of these SEL strategies. I wonder if we can share that out after the fact, because it occurs
yeah,
to me that also a really helpful piece for parents is to understand the effect of a stress response on learning and cognition and functioning. So when parents and caregivers understand, oh my gosh, here's what's happening for my child, basically for their brain when they get stressed out or anxious or have a big feeling, it really helps to make the case for why self-regulation strategies are so critical. So that resource has actually a lot of great explainers that are for parents, to help them understand just the power and purpose of those self-regulation strategies.
yeah. That is a great resource. So we'll definitely include that in the follow-up email, and make sure folks have that to send home with their families this summer. Which will be here before we know it, because, like this hour, time just flies. But it has been a fabulous hour together. And Fran and Rebecca, you just shared so many great ideas. And as someone put in the chat, so much creativity and innovation that I think folks are excited to tap into and take back to their classrooms and their families. So thanks everybody for joining us. Just again, a reminder that we've got that special end of school year promo going on, where you can get the summer months free for the Parent Powered Family Engagement Program. So keep an eye on your inbox for more information about that. So thanks again, everyone, for joining us today. We really enjoyed this time together, and hope you have a good afternoon or evening wherever you are.
Thank you. And maybe in talking about summer, we can make it come faster.
Yes,
At least
I
that
hope
warm
so.
weather. I'm wearing it. I look like it's summer, but it is like, 30 degrees outside. So
Right. You're channeling those summer vibes.
yeah. Take care.